All good?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead, Reem.
Okay. Thank you. Hi. Can you?
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah. Hello. Welcome to today's Google Talk as a part of International Women's Day 2021, which is a global day celebrating the social, economic, and cultural and political achievements of women. And this year themes as choose to challenge. International Women's Day 2021, Kuwait is made possible through the support and sponsorship of Kuwait Foundation for the Advancement of Science, KFAS, Ally United Bank and NIU Collaborative Community, Dulit and Munjiza program by KIBCO. I'm Reem Bassett from CBES. CBES, which is a co-organizer of International Women's Day 2021, CBES is Computer Engineering Society. We are a non-profit professional student society in Kuwait University, College of Engineering and Petroleum, and a chapter of ACM. This event was organized by GDG Kuwait, a local tech Kuwait focused on achieving technical skill on a wide range of software and hardware. WTM Kuwait target women in tech by providing them with resources, content, and community in which they can thrive. Let me introduce our speaker today. I would like to say welcome Kantana Batluda is an AutoML who is specialized in Google Cloud Platform. She is architecture solution with major public cloud providers and financial service industries on their quest to cloud, particularly in their big data and machine learning journey. In her spare time, she loves to try different cuisine and relax with kids. So welcome all and welcome Kantana.
Thank you.
And if you have any question, you can always share in the chat and we will read it, inshallah, as soon as possible.
Thank you very much for the warm intro, and I sincerely appreciate the time some of you have put into this in organizing, and also for the folks who are in here. I know it's end of the day for you today. It must be hard in the middle of the week to go through a session. I promise it'll be quick, and I hope it'll be interesting for you, and I hope you take some nuggets out of this, which you can use it in life. As I was introduced, I am Kanchana Patlola, but I go by Kanch, so you can call me as Kanch. And I am an AI ML specialist, helping organizations in US, particularly in the New England area, in and around Boston, in their journey to innovation. So first things, today what we are going to...
Kanchana, sorry.
Yes.
Would you please turn on your camera, if that's okay?
Yeah. Oh,
okay.
I thought it was turned on. What happened?
That would be great.
Okay. Oh, let me just... Oh, okay. Works? Okay. Thanks.
It did not appear, I think. I'm not so sure. No. I think we're fine.
Are you able to see me? Like, I feel like I can.
No.
Yeah. Does it work?
No, it's not showing. I'm not so sure. Okay.
I just
can.
See... Yes. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. I think audience can see it. Yes. Okay. Okay. No problem.
That's good.
Okay.
But
you can go ahead.
Ping me if you can. Okay.
Okay. Great.
So today I thought we'll take some time to see artificial intelligence is the key topic everywhere these days, the buzzword these days. So my focus today is to figure out, first I understand what is AI, and then how do you do AI, and why is all this buzz today. So that way you would have a starting point when you want to jump ahead. And I also know you have other colleagues who are looking to do further sessions from here. So consider this as step one when you go for the next sessions. So first question, we always get asked, like first question we need to ask is, what is artificial intelligence? I know we have a small crew here, so I'm going to see if anyone wants to respond. I'm going to see the chat. What is artificial intelligence? Couple of pointers. 1, 2. Even 1 is okay. Okay, I'm going to take my shot and then I'll see if any of you had responded with your comment. So what is artificial intelligence? It has many branches. It's not one thing. The most common thing which you have heard of is machine learning, which is trying to make the machines understand, but there is several components to it. It's the natural language processing, it's the speech, robotics, vision, etc., etc. So the way we would understand that is, how do you solve a problem without coding? This is what it is. In a conventional programming language, we always say, okay, there is an algorithm, this is the input, this is the output, and this is the calculation which we perform to get the output. That's the way we have always learned coding. But with machine learning, you wouldn't specify what the outcome is, what the input is. It would be understanding what the algorithm behind that is. And you also need to have a way that it builds itself over time. You don't want it to be constantly looking at it. Before we can apply it, first, understanding what an artificial intelligence is just in simple terms, using the data you have, answer questions. So the questions could be from multiple phases, but as long as you have the data, you would be able to answer the questions. And I'm going to tie all of this together in the end of the session, where you would bring the data and you would be able to ask the questions. So for a machine learning model, there is an input, there is an output, which is the prediction or the label. The centered part of it is the magic box, right? It is the model which gets created. So if you have a cat, the machine learning model figures out, predicts that it is a cat with 97% certainty, with 98% certainty, etc. So is it magic? It's not. But it gets complicated in this instance, where I have kittens and I have ice creams in one, and then I have Chua and a muffin. The machine learning should be able to figure out which is what in this instance, and it becomes tricky. So if there is a dog and a mop, right? This is how I always visualize. If like I have children, and when they were babies, I needed to teach them what everything is. So I had a picture book and I would show them that, oh, this is the dog and this is a cat. So over the time, she learned to say that it was a dog and it was a cat. So that's the same thing we do with machine learning as well. We teach the machines with multiple dogs and multiple cats, so that in the future, it predicts that it's a dog or a cat. In this instance, there is a dog and there is a mop. It should be easy to predict. Left one is a dog, right one is the mop. Is it easy though? Not necessarily. In this instance, I have a lot of mops and some dogs in there. And it becomes tricky in this situation to figure out what is a dog and what is a mop. So that's when artificial intelligence comes into picture. What we do is we peel the layers by pixel of that picture. In this picture, there is a cat or a dog lying in a laundry basket. And there are multiple layers to it. And we need to figure out how or what it is. We would have multiple layers and then figure out which edge makes sense to determine if it's a cat or a dog. Again, This is very complicated, but we are not going to be doing complex today. It's going to be very simple, whatever we are going to do. But I want you to understand that it's a very complex problem. And it is actually a basic math, which it's been long since I did a matrix multiplication, so I'm not even going to try to explain this, but this is a matrix multiplication with some inputs and weights. Weights are for each of the features in that picture. There is an associated weight on why it goes as a cat or a dog or a mop. And then with a bias comes prediction. So it's a matrix multiplication. Again, I have one more math slide. This is it. I'm not going to show any more math. In this case, if you look at it, they are trying to predict the number of cricket is an insect, where number of cricket chips per minute based on the temperature of that place. So they have a math which they use to predict that value. Again, it's complicated in this instance. Today, our focus is going to be, how do you take this complicated problem to a simpler solution? Any questions? Like, let me give perhaps, so it's the ability for the mission to learn to develop by itself from experience. Yes, that's correct, Alam. Perhaps making missions think a bit more like us. Yes, just like how I taught my kids to do it. AI is training computer to make decision and recognition object. That's right. Please share your own definition of artificial intelligence. In my own definition, the way I think of it is creating great insights with the valuable data we have. Because most of the organizations I help with, and it comes from varied spectrums. I sometimes talk to a healthcare life sciences team, and I would be amazed with the way they do gene compounding and transition. And that's not something that's very unique. And during, at least in this COVID times, you feel like, okay, that's great to do. And I do talk to manufacturing, where they try to automate some of the supply chain things which they work on. So in my perspective, it's the insights you would bring based on this wealth of data you have. Allowing the mission to understand and respond to the human action immediately. That's one part of it. Yes, those are great answers. Thank you. Thank you for, keeping me engaged. But we understand how complex it is here. And we all know it's complex. And why is all the interest now? Because if you recall, machine learning has been in existence since at least 1950s. Artificial intelligence is a topic which has been there forever. Why do you think there is an interest now? Now, why are we all talking about it? Throw your comments on the chat. And as I go through the topic, let's see how many of us have resonated the topic, like resonated the answers with. And the keys to successful intelligence is 3 factors. One is the large data sets we have available now. We have unique number of digital data which exists today than it did not exist before. And the access to the large scale compute, because no longer do we need, say, if you want to train 6 petabytes of data, you don't have to worry about it. All you need is a credit card and a swipe and you're done. You can access a large number of data. And powerful tools and frameworks we have available. The technology is getting advanced each and every day as more players in the market, not just players who are doing for their business. There is a lot of open source as well, which exists today, which did not exist before. And these 3 have paved a way for creating the buzz of artificial intelligence today. And artificial intelligence is made for cloud because, as we saw, right, the key factors, it can accommodate large data sets, it can accommodate large scale compute, It can work with recent technologies. You don't have to worry about how do I bring this software, or where should I go and purchase it, etc. All you need is to know which location should I download that from, and you're well on your way to using it immediately. So artificial intelligence is made for cloud. It doesn't have to be Google Cloud, but I am going to focus with Google Cloud as my base. But I do have to be honest that there is other players in the market who does that job as well. But there are some unique features with Google Cloud which makes it interesting. But you could try this with anywhere. And if you have experience with other providers, I would love to hear that too, so that I understand, and I would take that as a feedback too. Let's see how many responded. Allowing because nowadays we have more data. Yes, there is much data, image, info out there, so we can't possibly do it manually. Yes, that's a good comment, like Zainab, because sometimes, like I talk to some customers where they have a lot of documents and they're used to doing things manually, but they don't have that much of automation done in that regard because they're used to doing it manually. But because of the ability to do it with AI, it becomes more easier. Computing power and availability, technology is being updated. People are looking for easier ways to fulfill tasks. Yes, we are all looking for easier ways to fulfilling tasks. So I think we are all in the same page, and you all have some of the other experience in maybe your career or your education. Wherever you are, you probably have some experience towards it. So next step is, this is a Gartner CIO survey, which was released. This was done in 2017, but I want to really focus on this, right? In 2018, there were only 4% of CIOs who said they would be deploying AI. And in 2020, 85% of CIOs are deploying AI. Look at that huge shift in CIO's goals. And if you look at any of the CEOs, chief executive officers, when they talk about what their future is for their organization, every company has AI-based innovation in their headline. And how are they going to achieve it is the next question today. So there are about, if you look at the things, there are about 10K deep learning researchers. That is in a whole big ocean. That's a small piece of bucket. And there are 2 million ML experts who call themselves as ML experts who are there. And then there are 23 million developers. And there are 100 million business users. So this is how the workforce is set up globally. And do you think if we have 10K researchers or 2 million ML experts, we'll be able to bring in AI innovation? Then that becomes a challenge. So how do we solve this? Because I would love to hear your comments in the chat. But how do we solve this? Because there is a huge potential for all of us to use AI, because now there is more access to the data, more access to the compute, and we have more information. But there is very less people who know how to do this stuff. Like, even if we have everything, if we only have very less people, it'll be hard for us to scale it out. So that's when the concept of democratization of AI comes, because we understand it's a complex problem. We all know that it's a complex problem, but we have we have number of resources which we can use. But there is very less people who know how to do this stuff. So that's when democratization comes into picture. Democratizing AI is a key word which keeps coming up these days. It's to make sure the 100 million, the developers who are there would be able to use artificial intelligence in their quest to cloud or in their quest to innovation. How do we do it? So in Google, I'm sure every one of you might have used Google products, whether it's YouTube, where it's giving you a recommendation, or it could be a search where, I search for something and it immediately shows things near me or based on what I have searched before. Or it could be Google Photos, where I'm searching for things which I looked up on my kid some time ago and it showed from the baby phase. Or if you have used Gmail, you might have seen the spam classification where it is, remarkably performs very well, or there is smart reply. So every one of these products have artificial intelligence inbuilt to it. And if you are working for an organization, the product experiences or the customer experience you would give would be remarkably different if you use artificial intelligence, where you give personalized answers. So how do we help? This is an abstraction which I'm going to talk through with you about how we do in Google Cloud. These 4 things which are highlighted here are for custom models. And I would say this is for the machine learning experts and probably deep learning researchers. So let's not going to be even think about it or worry about it. Our focus today is going to be the top 2 ones, where I'm going to focus on how you could use a pre-trained model from Google. Just do a single API call. I hope all of you know what an API call is. If not, that's okay. I can just show a quick code where you could see how easy it is to do it, and also have talk about how AutoML can be used. So these are the 2 things which we'll be focusing on today to enable us as developers to take part in the AI journey as much as we can. Any comments or anything here which you want me to explain before I go into how it works? No code tools for business users. Yeah, there are no code tools for business users, which we will talk about it. I would say this AutoML here is in that category, but there is some kind of code which comes into picture. And there is other stuff which they can do as well. But today, let's focus on the developers and how their experience is going to be. Okay, so I'm going to now go a little bit ahead. Sorry. Yeah. So the pyramid in just a form which you can understand. Our focus is going to be on the right side with the API pre-trained models and the AutoML. The AI platform and the machine learning infrastructure needs high level of expertise, so we are not going to be talking about that. So this is the complete set of AI building blocks. And I have split them into 3 because I'm going to focus on the language part more, because this being with a different language set of audience, I felt like that would be more closer. And I do know that Ahmed is planning something with Vision and AutoML Vision at a later session. So maybe he can advertise when he's going to be hosting the session. So the site is the first one we'll cover. I'll give you a brief overview on what that is. I'll cover the language, and I'll show you a demo of how you would be able to easily do it. And then the right side piece of it is something interesting, which I'm sure you might have used it at some point if you have dealt with Google products. So let's jump into it. The first one is Cloud Vision and vision or video intelligence. I have a good story of how some time ago there was a media company. I was not an engineer for that customer, but I was told this story where the media company had huge video files dating from like 1930s or something, and like 30s or 40s, I don't know. So they had this huge collection, and there was a huge celebrity which was popular celebrity, and he was like 80 plus years old, and he passed away. and they wanted to create a montage of all the videos that he was in to show to the, to the audience. So they just had it very less time because they had to be quick. And what they used is this video intelligence, because they just ran through against the huge set of videos, and it was easily able to pick where he was there, he was there, and create a video of that, like as a montage. And I'm sure, like right now, when you think about it, even if you have any kind of video service or YouTube or Instagram or whatever, you probably have seen some or the other of this particular intelligence. But imagine you being able to use it by yourself. So this is one I'm talking, this is about Vision API. And in Vision API, there is a lot of features which exist, and everything is being used by multiple organizations where you might have seen. It detects faces. It detects the handwriting. It texts handwritten text. It has the OCR capability. It can scan and read through that document. It can detect if there is adult content in that picture that it needs to be filtered. It can detect a product, like say in this instance, if you could see here, it's in a showroom and it showcases a product. So it identifies what logo it has on in that particular image. You can gain a lot of information from a picture by just passing through an API call. All you need to do is send that image to the file, and then it returns all these fields for you so that you can use it as it's need, as you find it appropriate. So maybe for your business use case, maybe for your business use case, you might find it appropriate to identify where was this picture taken. So detecting the landmark is important for you. It depends on whatever you would find it useful. So this is another customer use case. So this was with a retailer, as you could see. All they need to do is scan a picture, like scan a place, and then it identifies what that product is, and then it can search it for you and provide options which are available. You might have seen this in other products, but this is easier to create just by calling Vision API. Take it, grab it, identify the product, and it shows the other options which are available. So this is one instance where we talked about using an API call. There is other instances where it becomes too generic for you. Like you want it to be specific. I want to understand, this is the brand shoe. This is a Nike shoe. This is an Adidas shoe. Or this is how a Tory Burch handbag looks like, etc., etc. And if it doesn't recognize with a Vision API, you would use AutoML for it. In AutoML, the interesting thing is you bring the data, you label what it is called, and we would train the model for you. You are not training anything. We would train it for you. And all you need to do is evaluate if it's correct or not before it's being used. We will have a quick demo on this in the next building block. But the thing which I want you guys to focus on is, in the first case, you didn't send us any data. You just sent the input and we sent the output to you. Whereas in the second case, you are giving the data, you are telling your labeling for what that is, and then we train the model for you using your data to answer the questions. Any questions till now before I move to the next one? Yeah, Ahmed, I think he's the one who had reached out. Okay, so let's move on. So we talked about Vision API. So that was in the first building block, which we saw, vision, video. The next one is translation and natural language. I'm going to be focusing on the on the translation piece of it. But the natural language is also very interesting, because these days, as more and more, um, like there is social media everywhere, people comment, and everything is natural language these days. So you want to understand the sentiment, then it becomes a natural language experiment. There's a lot you could do in that space. We are particularly focusing on handling the documents as a separate natural language, and there is a lot of research in that space. And our thing today is going to be on translation. We support about 100 languages in different pairs, and there is a lot of updates as we go. I travel very frequently abroad, and every time I use translate the app in Google for me to recognize where I am, and that's one of the major advantages of translate API. I'm going to do a quick demo of how wait, let me see. The translate API works. This is a quick one which was created. So what language can we do? Is it Arabic? I don't know. Let's see if this is XA, the Arabic one. Let's try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. So I'm going to do a speech to speech translation. I'm going to allow it. Hi, how are you? How is everyone doing? Today is okay. It also gave me an explanation. Sorry, it also converted that as a speech, and it translated back to me in Arabic in my headset. But this is just one quick thing. It was just using a translate API. You can also try it out yourself. I'm going to do a Google Translate from English. Oh, sorry. Okay, from English to Arabic. Okay. Happy Women's Day. Is this correct? Does anyone know Arabic, or am I? Hopefully, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. So this was done just with an API call. What you need to do is understand where that API call you would send that information to, and it would do that job for you. You don't need anything. So say if you are processing a long set of documents, and it has content which is in different language with a multiple, you're working in a multinational company, and that company is in all over the world, and you have documents from across the world. So you would use this to translate it without any business context. Again, this is created for the consumer side of Google business. So you might not have the business sense of it. So that's when we get into auto. And again, this is the translate app I told you about. I don't know if you use this. If you don't have it, and if you're traveling, I would suggest you have it I have an Android, so it's there installed. And what it does is wherever you go, you could just click it, and it shows what that thing is. So the next one is the AutoML. Those are Chinese words which are used in there, but it has translated the languages. And what it does is, when you can't use that with translate API for general business, you would create your own language pairs and train the model for you to use it. I'm going to show an example of a demo, which let me know if you could see it clearly, or maybe I can do a zoom. Can you see it clearly now? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, okay. Zainab, I do agree. There is a lot we need to improve, particularly with respect to Arabic and some other languages too. I was just browsing yesterday, and someone had posted how in Finnish there is non-gender neutral way, and there is a bias which comes into it. So we need a lot to improve, but there are things which are there right now. AutoML is required an intelligent network to train module. Note, I think what you're asking is, do you need to understand what the models are to create it? That's not the case. So I'm going to show how it is done. And if I didn't answer your question, so feel free to ask me again. So this is I'm going to first start from how this is approached, and this is a Spanish English one. It's not Arabic one, but I think if you understand the concept, then we should be good. So first thing first, what we would do is we would use a data set. So this is how a data set looks like. Let's see. So there have been multiple sentences. These are Spanish sentences. And this is the English word of it. And we specify if the data is for testing or validation, etc. This was created. And first step first we do is something called an import. What we do is, like, imagine a spreadsheet. And in the spreadsheet, you would have the Spanish language sentences, English language sentences, and if that data is for use for testing, validation, or evaluation. We will store that in Google Cloud Storage as our blob storage. It doesn't have to be. You could have it in your laptop, and you can upload it to upload it to the data set. Once that's done, what we do is we'll press continue, and your sentences would be shown here. And here in this case, there are about 1.8 million sentences, and about 90% of it is a training data set. And I have 10,000 validation and 10,000 sentences. And those were auto split. Again, this was from a publicly available data set. So no one from Google created it. It was just available. After this was done, you would just press start training. That's it. You're not doing anything else. You would just do start training, and it would ask you questions on what you want to do. And then you would do start training. That's it. I have already trained, because it takes a while to complete it. It takes about 2 to 3 hours, depending on the data set. But once you do the start training and it's complete, you would get an email saying it was complete. And when you come here, you would see this data. For you, it might not make sense, but blue score is the one which is important for a translate. And it shows that it's about 45.82. And based on that score, you can understand how it would do. It had a good performance gain. And let's see how the evaluation was done. So we use some of the data to do evaluation. And as you could see, it is a 45.02, which is a good rating. And it gives you suggestion too, if it's good or not. So it's good for us to see it. You can always run the evaluation again and again. Behind the screens, what Google does for you is it runs against multiple models to figure out which is the best one for this data set based on the metrics which were used. And if you're very curious, no, I want to understand what model that was used, that is sent to the logs, and you could go ahead and see it. It shows what the models are. And predict is when you're going to actually use that, now the model is created. So we are at a step. We took the data, then we label the data, we train the model, we evaluated the model, and now we are at a stage for a prediction. So I'm going to give a Spanish sentence, which I don't know Spanish. So like whatever someone had created it. I'm going to do translate. Let's see what happens. So it is going to, like, normally it's quick. It shouldn't take even this long, but it would give you a translation based on the data it sees. As you could see here, it gives you some information. So both are close, but there could be some subtle differences between the custom model and the Google model which was created. And this is the Python code you could use to create yourself. As you could see, if you, I don't know how many of you are Python users, but it just shows you how you could access it by yourself. This is given for everything. So you could just take it and use it. And this is how, if you want to just do a REST API call, would be. But it's easy for you to just do it and use it. Was that answer okay for Noor? When we translate a single word from a language to another in Google Translate, that is that use AI. Yes, because we don't have a matching pair to pair. It mostly would use an AI to understand it. Any questions in this before we move on? This is quite a bit interesting, guys, because if you have your own data and if you can label it, it's pretty easy to create it by yourself. As you could see, you don't need to be a machine learning expert or a deep learning researcher to create some of this. All you need to know is what is your data and what is it you want to see in the labels, and it creates by itself. Any questions? Okay. So that we saw a demo with the Translate. And now we come to the other set of it, right? I don't know how many of you have used a Google Assistant or an Alexa, and most of you might have. And that's one example of using AI. And when I was using the speech-to-speech translator, that was using speech to text and text to translate and then translate to speech. So it used multiple API calls to get that working. The speech to text API it has a wide vocabulary. It can filter inappropriate content like some profanity content, and it can recognize sometimes partial noises and filter it out when it's needed. Most of it is available for yourself to use it, and it could be something which you could do for yourself. So, and for you to try it out yourself, I have mentioned a Code Labs link, which you can, that's available and it's easy for you to use. So there are a lot of demos which you could build for yourself to test out the features, and you could try it out for yourself. That's my Twitter, email, and my LinkedIn. And I would love to hear from you, any of you, or some of you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Like, I think I have most of it covered, but if there is any questions, I can, answer.
Really, thank you for this speech. Please, if anyone have any question, just write it on the chat.
Thanks, Alam. It could be about anything. It doesn't have to be. Oh, there is a feedback. Dr. Zainab, I would love to, hear the feedback as well. So please let me know. Thank you. Yes. Could an edge for SME? So are you talking about cloud edge like TensorFlow Elite, or like deploying this on an edge device like mobiles, AI deploy? Okay, yes, yeah, I think so. There's a lot of ways these days AI is deployed, right? One of the things which is becoming quite common is deploying your AI in your devices like phone, or it could be in even a small, manufacturing device or a garage door opener or things like that. So what you do have options to deploy it. So for the API case, it's very easy because it's just an API call. In your edge application, you would just make an API call to do it. But in most cases, that might not suffice. So that's when we go towards AutoML Edge. So AutoML Edge is taking that model and being able to create a lighter version of it. So it's not doing any kind of, heavy prediction in the device because these are small devices. And then we would be able to deploy it. And if you are a little bit of an expert, then you would probably use TensorFlow Lite or things like that, which are available as well. But that's a big topic by itself. Like, how do you deploy it in lighter devices where you cannot have more, processing being consumed? That's a good question. There is a difference on which application you pick for that. Yeah. Anything? Any other questions? What about the privacy and security of the data? Is it safe to use it for medical data as a decision support module? Yeah, this is actually a very common question, Mariam, which comes. The reason is because most of the times we need to, like, it's the privacy of not just the persona, it's also the brand value of the organization which is sharing the data. So in Google's world, we have clear Google data processing terms and conditions where we clearly specify what we can see and what you could do. And for in United States, I don't know about other countries. In United States, we have HIPAA for medical data, which is sort of compliance, agreement with for the medical companies. If you have medical data, you have you can only store your data in the services which are compliant to that HIPAA guidelines. And AutoML, I believe, I could be wrong, but I believe, are compliant with HIPAA. So it has been validated with the guidelines, and it can be used. What you could do is, if you could do a search for HIPAA and medical data, for AutoML, you should be able to find the relevant details. I hope that answers your question. If not, yeah, thank you. Will you upload this session on YouTube? I was told yes. Yeah.
Since the session is recorded, it will be uploaded on YouTube. And
Yes.
also, if you guys please fill the form that I just sent to have a certificate attendance and a chance to win a prize.
Yeah. Okay. I would love to hear the feedback too, because it helps me, change it so that if we are missing some content or if there is something which could be added, it would give me a good insight on that. So, please feel free to be.
Definitely.
Okay.
Thanks for the talk. It was amazing. And you covered most of the, can I say, questions or concerns about AI for the attendees. Thanks again for the talk. I would ask a lot more questions, but I think they are much deeper. And regarding also the other side, which is the data itself and data, governance and all the data side.
Yes, looking forward to, having that conversation. There is a lot of topics in that regard as well. But yes, there is a lot for us to uncover.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
of course.
Yes, yeah. I would love for you to, try that Code Labs link, which I posted. I can even post it here because I feel like that would give you all, yeah. Yes, I posted the Code Labs link. And they have some pretty good demos to do it. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks again for that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Should I stop recording, Shekha, or would you